Hey guys, it's Tim Gillette, the Tim Gillette Show, and I'm back here today with another friend here to do an interview with my friend Lew Hastings. And Lew, I actually met him quite a few years ago, and I'm sure we'll talk about the story because we both come from the same neck of the woods, or at least we both spent time in the same neck of the woods. Let's put it that way. But anyway, we're both podcasters, we're both bloggers, we're both content creators, and we both are all over the world, it seems sometimes. But anyway, I've known Lew for a long time. I've been looking forward to actually having him on the show. And the fact that we're both been in lockdown, we might as well get on a show and do it finally. So let's bring him on. Lew Hastings, right? I said your name right, by the way, did I?
Of course you did. Yes, Tim. How are you, sir?
All right. How are you?
Doing fantastic.
Where are you hunkered down at?
I'm actually hunkered down in Southwest Florida.
So do you live down there now, or is it just a house you have?
I live down here part-time.
Okay.
So when it's real cold up north, we come down here. When it's hot down here, we go up north.
You still have a house up north, and where is your house up north?
In the Poconos.
In the Poconos? Yeah. So whereabouts? You know that's where I grew up. So
yeah, Albrightsville.
Okay, yeah. I grew up Moscow area and lived down. And my mom had a house down in Stroudsburg before she moved down here. So yeah,
not too far away.
Yeah, we're in the same neck of the woods up there. It seems like
You betcha.
Yeah. Wait a minute. You're not old enough to remember when Patty Hearst was there, were you?
I am old enough to remember Patty Hearst, but I didn't know she was in that area.
She in 1973.
Wow. I'm old enough to be around for that.
Okay. I was, because it was right down the street from where I lived.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah. And it's interesting. The only time I've ever been able to say in a speech, so I grew up in a town and that you guys you've all heard of it if you're over 40 years of age, but you don't know you heard of it. And I'd say that one time I was able to say South Canaan, Pennsylvania, and the audience knew it. And that's because I was speaking in Scranton, Pennsylvania. So anyway.
Which is where I work. I work in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. So Lew, all right, you travel the world, you goof off, you hang out, you do fun things. Tell us about you and what you do.
All right. Well, my day job is I work for a private school out of Scranton, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And I basically go around. My clients are colleges that are around the country, and I go and train college faculty how to use our online platforms at the private school that I work for, called Penn Foster.
Wow. And how long have you been doing that?
This is my 6th year doing that.
Well, and I know there's a lot of times, like, you know what I mean? It's I watch it because, you know what I mean? You'll send me a message. Oh, Tim, I'm landing in Dallas. I'll be here and I'm like, I'm in Los Angeles.
That's right. Wait, let's go grab some coffee. No, I'm not there.
Yeah. or you'll see my post that I'm landing in Atlanta. Hey Tim, I'm in Atlanta tomorrow. I'm leaving tomorrow.
That's right. We've done that for a couple of years now.
Yeah. And it's I mean we've missed each other in several towns around the country. Not just one, but several. We've missed each other.
That's right.
Always a day late and $1 short.
We were only in the same place once.
Yeah.
And that was the NEPA BlogCon.
NEPA BlogCon, yeah, in 2016. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, as I think about it, this is 4 years ago, man. That's like, that was just before the last presidential election, if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe it's been that long since we've seen each other, and that event was that long ago, because I'm not sure they're even doing that anymore.
They are not.
Yeah. So, I was friends with one of the management team on that, and I kind of watched her mosey off, and I'm like, what the heck? And then poof, gone. So anyway, yeah. So now, but you have a place down in Florida. At least you got to hang out in Florida through all of this stuff that's going on in the world. What are you doing with your days now that you can't travel?
A lot of remote meetings, as you well know how to do, and do it daily. I'm fortunate in the fact that a lot of my time, if I wasn't traveling, was doing this remote work.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's just every day it's remote meetings instead of traveling to different locations. Plus, the environment is in education right now. A lot of the schools are closed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you've got staff who are, either furloughed or working completely remotely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
there's no need for me to travel.
Yeah, I was like, so they're working remotely. You're still trying to touch base with them doing that, but you and I you're in the podcast realm as well, right? But you've always had a history in like radio and stuff, haven't you?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I started in college back in New York for my college radio station WSIA, and I did on-air news and weather. And I loved that. I thought, man, I'm going to be a journalist. This is what's going to happen. And things happen and you make different choices. And I actually went to college for archaeology and anthropology and ended up on that path.
Oh, wow. Wow. I was thinking, like, when you say that with New York, I was like, it sounds like the story. It was starting to sound like the story of Howard Stern, but you know what I mean? We
Yeah. I used to listen to Howard.
Yeah, I did too, but like I didn't love him when I listened to him. I was one of the haters who listened to him, and I couldn't shut him off.
Yeah, I didn't listen to him every day, but I did. He was the thing back then.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I worked down in Philly. Not a full time, but part time, associated with a couple of radio stations on there doing promotional type stuff. So like, the early 90s, it was Y100 that I did some stuff with. I wasn't on staff. I was a hire out. Like I was, what they call it, the freelancer who came in to do a job every now and then walked out,
Gotcha.
I loved that world though. It was an interesting world, but it wasn't a world that like you were going to get rich doing.
Right. And I think even today, now everybody's like a gig or a hired hand for radio. Like the gig that I have right now is exactly that. I do my 3-hour show and I do it remotely, and that's it. Interesting.
And you do a show now that was your creation and everything, right?
Yeah. So right now I'm doing 2 shows. So Red Road Radio Show, which I started back in 2013, 2014. And I just started a new one this year called Tunes Less Traveled, which is a music blog and podcast.
So with the music one though, are you having to get licenses to play music, or what are you commentating on music? What are you doing with that?
It's a little of everything. So this is how it started. And I might have you to thank for this, Tim, telling people that blogging is not dead, to blog. And that's how you should expand your, what you do. So I said, you know what, I'm going to start a blog and talk about my music playlist, the one that I travel with, the one that I listen to in the car, in the plane, in the hotels, whenever I travel. And my brother-in-law said it best. He was like, so what would make people listen to your or read your blog about your, what's your opinion mean to other people? And I went, I don't really care. It's my playlist. I want to talk about my playlist. And you know what? And if you hear a song, you might go, oh man, I remember that song, or man, I love that song and I haven't heard it forever. You might put it on your playlist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'm asking for people's, input. Maybe you have a song that I haven't heard in a long time and I'm going to add it to my playlist. So I think it's just a fun thing to do. So I'm loving it. I have not played music on my show for the very reason that you're talking about. We talk about it and that's it. So
have you, I just thought of this. Have you thought about having like a, playlist wars? Like, You compare your playlist top song versus my playlist top song, and we see that would be, I don't know. It would be a war.
That would be awesome. Make brackets.
Yeah.
Just like the Final Four. Yeah, that would be awesome.
The closest thing we have to a Final Four this year. Yeah.
That's right. That's a great idea.
Yeah. And I remember in March we started to make this Final Four thing that was like a household duties or stupid things like that we were going to do. And we ended up doing it because like everything was not happening this year anyway. So you're down there in Florida though, hanging out. All right. You know what I mean? What's your town like right now down there? I mean, you do some walks every now and then on it. Just tell my listeners what's going on out there.
Yeah. So I am lucky enough and blessed enough to live on the little tiny island in Southwest Florida. We're located between Sarasota and Fort Myers, for those of you who know some of the geography. And there's one road in, one road out, and a bridge to get onto the island. And basically, once things started shutting down, like businesses, schools, parks, beaches, that place became a ghost town. Mm. I mean, just, walking around the streets, and it really didn't hit me until I was walking around with my little one and my little granddaughter. She's 6. Mm-hmm. And we're walking around and I said, man, look at how empty the streets are. And she said, yeah, it's because of the sickness. And man, did that blow me away, because, to have a 6-year-old going through this and have, to be somewhat cognizant of what's happening and to say that's like a line out of a movie, mm-hmm, right? Mm-hmm. That somebody would say. But it's pretty much empty right now.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any stores and stuff like, grocery stores, things like that? Or do you have to go onto the mainland to get it?
There are a couple of grocery stores on the island, but they're small, like mom and pop grocery stores. The one that was in town, or is in town, I should say, was taking online orders and then filling them curbside. So actually they went from having no more than 10 people in the store to having nobody in the store, and someone will go in and they'll pick your groceries and bring them out to you.
Okay, cool.
I think they're starting to open up now, or at least that's the plan, to let people back inside.
I haven't tuned in much into the news today, but and apparently Gwen texted me, our governor's allowing things to start opening up and stuff like that. So I hear that's the talk today. So, but I haven't paid attention. I've been on conferences and calls all day, so I've not tuned into it. But I mean, how are you going to feel when this opens back up? How fast are you going to go back to your world?
I think for me, it's going to be a while. So I know that the place that I work at in Pennsylvania is already talking about what that looks like as far as getting back into the physical building. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But they are taking a people first approach to this. Everyone is working remotely, including the instructors. So there's no real rush to get back in the building. Right now, they have limited access where some people will go in for like physical documents, taking care of the mail, mailing out diplomas and degrees and things like that. That is happening, but at a slower pace. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. As far as traveling to some of my clients around the country, I am going to say that probably this semester that ends June is pretty much a wash. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I won't have to go to places until midsummer. Okay. Now.
So yeah, are you out with a summer semester type deal? And you're not sure if that's open yet.
I probably will be back traveling either by summer or I think at the latest for the fall semester. So most of my clients have open enrollment. So we don't go by the end of the school year is June and the beginning of the school year is September exclusively. Mm-hmm. Some of these clients have summer classes, and so there's staff on hand all of the year.
Okay. Okay. And you know, it's interesting that you work both in that field. All right. Plus, I mean, I didn't even know what you did on that field. I just know that you were a podcaster, and it's interesting that, you know, many podcasters like you have a whole world over here that they work in, and then they step out over here to do their podcast. And I that's what I found out interesting about you.
Yeah, something's got to pay the bills.
Well, yeah. You know, our conference is designed to help people use the tools we use for podcasting and blogging and such to market their business. Whereas, you know what I mean, you're on a whole nother ball game of podcasters and content creators who are doing something for fun that eventually might create an income, but in the meantime, it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I love to do it. I want to continue to do it. And, you know, quite frankly, the very first podcast I did was spawned from the radio show, the Red Road Radio Show, which was a product of my nonprofit, the Native Now Foundation. I had no intention at all of going into podcasting. It was just the natural progression of things. My show started on terrestrial radio in 2013.
Okay.
And then just went on from there. And I pitched it to the local radio station down here. And I said, what do you think about this? Because I had a show on that radio station, WENG, in Southwest Florida, called Gulf Coast Business Spotlight.
Okay.
And, you know, when that ran its course, I just pitched them the new idea.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, so you still have your foundation, or?
I do. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, that started in 2013. It's called the Native Now Foundation, and our purpose is to support and promote sovereignty and self-determination in Indian country, in indigenous communities.
Okay.
And all my life, I've been, you know, working and visiting indigenous communities, and it just made sense that there needed to be additional support for the smaller things, not the things that government is supposed to take care of. So I just enjoyed doing that, meeting with people, talking with people, and I've been doing that for a real long time.
Cool. And, you know, I mean, I was looking through some of your history and stuff like that. So, you know, I mean, tell us about some of the radio, you know, actually you've done some stuff in radio other than the news, haven't you?
Yep. Yeah.
So tell us about some of those shows.
Well, the Gulf Coast Business Spotlight was when I was the executive director for the Chamber of Commerce down here. It was something that I talked with the radio station about interviewing small business owners, entrepreneurs in the Gulf area. So they thought that was a great idea. So I just parlayed that into an hour show every week. We had a new business owner, and it was great to be able to interview them, learn about their business, and get them on the radio and exposed to, you know, over 800,000 listeners. Just expanded their customer base. So that was a lot of fun. And I did that for a couple of years, and it kind of ran its course. You know, I had a couple of people on more than once, and then I was like, all right, well, I think we've run the gamut on this show, but here's an idea for another show I have called the Red Road Radio Show. And what that was going to be was news, commentary, and interviews about things that happen in Indian country. Okay.
And,
so, yeah.
It supported your foundation. All right. And you just took it as a place to do that. So, you know what I mean? I also noticed, I mean, you do a lot of, I see you speaking at different conferences like I do, like some of these virtual conferences and stuff. What is it that you're out speaking about now?
This last one, I spoke about something that is kind of near and dear to my heart, but not necessarily within my area of expertise. So in other conferences, I spoke about the Red Road Radio Show, the purpose of connecting with your listening community, and what that means, or what you can accomplish by making those relationships. The last one for Super Joe Pardo's virtual conference, I talked about silencing your inner imposter. You know, everybody suffers at some point or another, or most people do, with that imposter syndrome. And it's really tough. It was definitely a challenge for me as somebody who's not a member of indigenous communities doing this show.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
I'm talking about indigenous issues, but I'm not indigenous.
Oh, wow.
So it got in my head where I was thinking, maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this. Maybe I don't know enough to do this. But really, the purpose of the show is to amplify indigenous voices, not speak for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what made it different to speak about at some of these conferences. And it's been a lot of fun, met a lot of great podcasters and entrepreneurs, and just making connections out there where, you know, I actually brought some of those relationships that I made into that indigenous world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh.
So, which was a lot of fun.
So one of the comments that was put on the page earlier today when I put this up, all right, was my friend Tamara. You know Tamara?
I do. I know Tammy.
So I know her through my buddy Craig Duswalt in California.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Does she live on the east here, or does she live out west?
She lives in Florida.
In Florida. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you know, I'm just looking at, you know what I mean, how I'm connected to the world. And like, I'm like, wait a minute, Lew's from my hometown, and I'm connecting to him through people in California. And yeah, it's just weird how the world goes that way. Anyway. And like, you know, well, mine is like my childhood friend who lives in South Canaan, decided to take his woodworking to a blog and podcasting and stuff like that. Well, not podcasting. He does a couple of videos with it, but that's it. And I met talking to my coach in California one day about, you know, a blog on woodworking. And it's like, well, my childhood friend has a thing called the Woodworking Baker. And my coach goes, I follow him. And I'm like, him and I grew up as kids, like, you know, 4th grade through 7th or 8th grade. You know, we were like best friends.
That's incredible.
Small world. Yeah, it is. It's a small world, and how we connect. And like you said, Joe Pardo, I spoke on Joe's on Saturday. Were you at this past Saturday?
I didn't speak, but I did watch a couple of the shows in between, you know, that one radio show that I had. I had 3 hours worth of content that I had.
Yeah, because originally we were going to do this on Saturday, and then Joe gave me a spot that I'm like, well, you know, and I was like, hey, we got to reschedule. I can't do it. So, and like, you know, I won't do that to Joe. All right. To me, Joe actually is good friend, good people. And you know, I didn't speak at his one 2 weeks ago, but I spoke at this one this past weekend. And I think I already put the application in for his next one, but anyway, he's speaking at mine as well. So,
awesome.
Good people, you know, to be connected with online. And he's one of them, you know what I mean? And he's actually a Southern, he's Jersey side, but like Philadelphia area podcasters group. So it's that Pennsylvania route there again. And it's so neat to connect with people that we both know, and go out speaking. So, you know what I mean? You speak at some of these conferences, you speak about things like that. When you get into speaking, it was just to help your mission and help your foundation?
Yeah, essentially that was it. Other than speaking for work, because I have to go and speak to, you know, right before I stopped traveling, the last place that I traveled to was Houston. And I spoke to a conference it was a medical college. Okay. And all of the presidents of all of the different campuses came to this annual conference. And I spoke to all of them about what I do at Penn Foster. And I knew them all individually, but it was the first time we had all gotten together in one room, and I made a presentation live. So it was really cool to be able to be in that room with them and deliver that presentation to them. So I don't always speak about just the indigenous stuff. And, you know, I've been a trainer since way back in my retail management days. but those were few and far between. Now it's more of a regular cadence of speaking in different arenas.
Okay. And throughout the years, Lew, have you had a like a mentor someone that you looked up to, or something that guided you or gave you guidance on how to better your career throughout the years?
Yeah, I think I've always had somebody who was in the background, whether it was, my favorite uncle, or a close family friend, or even a close personal friend that I've grown up with, that always was there to bounce ideas off of. I can think of many in the different phases of my life that if I didn't have them, I wouldn't be where I was today. I legitimately took their counsel to heart, and I wouldn't have done half the things that I did without them.
Cool. And you know what I mean? Where you're getting counsel for them. Do your kids, look up to you for wisdom, or are they going to granddad or, an uncle?
Well, I hope so. I hope that I'm worth some kind of, words of wisdom. I think to a certain degree that, kids will seek you out for some guidance. It remains to be seen on the little ones, the grandkids, because they're teeny tiny. But I did have a great conversation with the 6-year-old by FaceTime last night. So, those are the kind of things that you look forward to.
Well, wait a minute, what's that like? All right, the only connection you got with your grandkids is a screen.
That's tough.
Yeah,
that is tough.
Oh.
So, and it's hard because you can make the choice to be, normal, I guess, in this new environment that we live in. But, do you want to take the risk? Because there's no separation with a 6-year-old. Yeah. It's like, as soon as you get together, it's a vice grip. And man, I miss that more than anything, for sure.
And that's me. We don't have a grandkids, we have a grandpuppy. And that's me with my grandpuppy. He came over Easter Sunday, and yeah, it was all over me. Yeah, I love that. But that's the close. Our kids came over Easter Sunday, and that was the only connections we've had. We went Saturday. No, Saturday we went to a friend's house. This couple that are friends of ours, and literally there was a sidewalk going up to their front door. We were on one side of the sidewalk on our chairs, and they were on the other side. And we just had a conversation for 2.5 hours outside. And I know it probably looked weird, but we didn't care. We were that was the first connection to get out.
Sure.
So, are you having any things like that now where you're actually connecting with anybody that way, or are you still doing these conferences over the phone like this?
Yeah, pretty much still doing, the remote. I haven't been to a store, a grocery or anything, since March 17th.
Wow.
So I'm using Instacart, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
If you haven't used it yet, pretty amazing. But yeah, if you don't have to go, why go? Yeah. But at some point, you have to be reintroduced or reintroduce yourself to real life. It's not sustainable to do this economically. I've still got a job, I'm still working, but it's not good for mental health not to connect with people. This is great. What you do on your happy hours, fantastic. That's a boost to people's immune system when they can actually talk to somebody and laugh and joke and hold up their drink, whatever they're drinking. It's so needed, and it tells you exactly how social we all really are. Yeah. That really deep-seated need to have that face-to-face with people.
And it started out as a joke, and now I do it. Now I'm not doing it every day anymore. I just got too many other things going on, and I'm like, I need a break from it. But in the beginning, yeah, that was cool. But like me, I overdo everything. And then I go, okay, I need a break.
I think it was great.
Yeah.
It definitely serves a much needed purpose, Tim. And thank you for that. I've joined more than once.
Yeah. 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 There's a couple times that you actually have done it from your phone, and he's been out walking around the island showing us how dead it was.
That's right. That's right. For sunset.
Yeah. I actually seen some cool sunsets that way. You know what I mean? I remember one time it's like, oh, somebody else is walking. Oh my God, there are people out here.
There's someone else on the island, like Lost.
It was funny. I mean, you have to go back and find the recording of it because it was a funny day that he did that. Anyway, so Lew, what is one area that they can actually get a hold of you, or a place that they can connect with you online in case they want to find out your podcast and everything?
Absolutely. You can go find me on Facebook. That's probably the best way. Any one of the pages that I'm running right now, Red Road Radio, Tunes Less Traveled. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Basically, any one of the social medias, you can reach out to me, send me a DM, or tweet something at me, and I'll be sure to answer.
Cool.
For sure.
Cool. So, and do you have any guests or anything on your podcast, or are they just you running the podcast?
Well, I do something with a co-host. My buddy John is on with me, and we talk about music. And we've done a whole week on Elton John. We had Elton John week back in March. We did 2 shows on Collective Soul, where we went through all of their albums and just that kind of stuff. But I want to start getting into guests coming on, whether they be musicians, whether people want to come on and talk about their playlists. I really am looking forward to having those kinds of guests. I would love to have you on, Tim, and talk about some of your musical influences. Not Tom Petty. I think that would be awesome to come on and talk to you about music for a good long time.
I probably would enjoy it, but yeah, we'd have to get it out and make it happen. So anyway,
absolutely. Eventually I want to get into artists, because a couple of years back on the Red Road Radio Show, I was out covering the Tortuga Music Festival in Fort Lauderdale. And the whole purpose behind that festival was to save the oceans, right? To clean up the oceans. Mm-hmm. And all of these artists came for exactly that purpose. And I reached out to several of their publishers and their management to see if I could get some interviews. And I wound up talking to the Doobie Brothers and had them on the show for a good 30 minutes. And that was wonderful. I'd love to do more of that on my show.
Well, I'm still trying to work on through my connections to get Dean Cain on my show. But anyway, we'll see. Because
you were on his show.
Huh?
You were on his show.
Yeah, I was on his show. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
And that through the connection that got me there. I'm trying to get it to flip the other way. But Dean usually, there's a lot of people were charging to be on shows, but like friends of mine here in Dallas, because of a connection, got a recording and actually had their event this past weekend. Actually got Mark Cuban to come on and do an interview with him. Because right now, many of these people are stuck at home. I mean, I reached out to people that were bizarre to try. And I actually got some knockdowns. No, I won't. I actually got some people who I know very well are just like, I'm burned out with interviews because that's all I've been doing since I've been sitting at home. And I'm like, okay. So, I just didn't push it. Like tomorrow, I've got a really good one that I can't wait to do. He used to be a partner with Jim Rome, and that is Kyle Wilson. I'm looking forward to him tomorrow. So, I've always known Kyle. I just never gotten to talk to him or interview him. So tomorrow's my day to do that. So
cool.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
We all have people we look up to.
Agreed.
Yep. So Lew, I like to close my show out with a little game I call This or That. Have you heard about my game?
I have heard about your game.
So I've got about 9 questions that I've put together just for you. I give the 2 choices and you pick one. Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's start it off with Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek.
Star Trek. All right, he's a Trekkie. He's a Trekkie.
I'm a Trekkie.
Would that be you? Be the Kirk or Picard Trekkie?
Ooh, I'm the Kirk Trekkie.
You're Kirk. See the original series? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How about taking a trip to the beach or mountains?
Mountains.
Mountains. Okay. Beer or wine?
Ooh, that's a good one. It, maybe 5 years ago it would have been beer, but I'm doing wine these days.
Yeah. Are you doing like the whites or reds or?
I'm doing a Pinot Noir, a red.
Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
Good reds there. Next one here is personal choice. Some people think this doesn't belong, but we'll see. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. I don't like those people who don't like pineapple.
I'm doing these rapid fire, Tim. I'm not taking too much time.
Yeah, I know.
They're coming right from the heart.
Cool. How about taco or hamburger?
Taco.
Cool.
That's
a southern thing, but would you rather go for a walk or a jog?
Walk.
Okay.
I don't run from anything anymore.
Hard work.
That's right. It's too much work. I'm walking from.
I run from hard work. That's about it. Okay. If you're riding in the car, would you rather listen to podcast or music?
This is a tough one because I do both. If I had to choose one, I'm going to choose music.
Yeah, I'm a music guy in the car. Yeah, a podcast at home, but music guy in the car. So, next one here is a war breaker. All right, toilet paper. Does it go over on the roll or under?
So I think it's got to go under.
Okay.
Got to go under. You know why?
Why?
Because when you tear it, it almost serves as its own break.
Okay.
It's as if it's over, you can go wee. And right now, you don't want to be wasting toilet paper. You know what I'm saying?
That is like the dividing. I mean, I've had the calmest people on my interviews, Lew, who you ask them that question, and they are adamantly over, under. I mean, it's like, there's no other, like but they were the calmest people through the whole interview until you asked that question.
Oh no, my buddy says you're wrong, Lew. Sorry. Oh, boo. Thanks, Dave. I'm not wrong.
Dave said that. We're marking you, Dave. Anyway. All right. Last one, Kyle. Last one, Lew.
All right.
Boxers or briefs?
Oh man. How about boxer briefs?
We'll take it as that. There we go. Hey, it's designed to be fun. We try to make it as fun as we could. So anyway, Lew, once again, tell everybody where they find you on the web and website maybe, and say it so they can understand it on the audio as well as here on the video.
Absolutely. You can find me anywhere on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. But if you want to go to my podcast, redroadradio.com, you'll be able to see all of my previous shows, and please feel free to reach out to me. Let's chat. Cool.
So we'll put those comments up so they show up on the video, just so we can make fun of David later.
That's awesome.
Anyway, well, Lew, I thank you for coming on the podcast, spending time of your day with me. All right, and always fun hanging out with you, man. I appreciate you every time I get to see you. So, to you guys, the listeners, hey, thank you for tuning in, and check out Lew and his podcast as well as everything he does online. Connect with him on social channels. I'm Tim Gillette with the Tim Gillette Show, and be sure to subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, on Anchor FM, and subscribe over on YouTube. I'm Tim Gillette, and I will see you later. Bye now.